Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to study about how to apply the validators to the entered value. Means whenever we are creating a wizard, a sign up wizard, or a registration page for a account for any user account, and when we create it, we have to set some kind of rules, that is username is required, password is required, the password entered into password window and the re-entered password to confirm password must be same, and whenever you are entering the email of a user, it must be in a proper format. So if you want to set such a kind of validators to your entering value in ASP.NET to your web pages, so we can use the validators. So let's start. So create a new empty web project, web application. So I will create it as a validation test ASP.NET. Select the empty website, just press OK. So this is a validation test web project for us. Just to go to Solution Explorer, right click on a project name and add a new web form to our project. So I will suggest, instead of selecting from web form, just to go to the add new item, and a new item, select a web form and mention the name as index or a registration page. Registration page, just add it. So here is the registration page, and this is the design window. So you can see this is the complete empty design window, and these are the toolbox. So first of all, to create an validation, sign up wizard, a registration form for a user, and we will arrange our contents on a web page in a table. So just go insert table, select insert table, or you can add a table through the HTML content also. From here you can add. So we will add the table with 6 rows, because we are going to take the details of person for the registration wizard, and with 2 columns or column 3 columns. So just press OK. So this is our table. So I will first I will merge the first cell. So modify it by selecting just and set the background color for this cell. So this is my favorite one. Okay, just add a text by taking it to the center alignment. Just select the size as large or extra large in the registration form. Okay, so here username, then password, or will take uh, email, then password, then confirm password. These are the windows. So just select all these cells, rearrange these cells like this, then make alignment as a just far right. So you can see. So we need to, okay, just change the user name. Okay, so for the entering the username, we need to add the text box. So just to go to the standard toolbox controls and drag and drop the text box to our table contents, and then text box 3 for the password and confirm password. So we'll add one more thing. as a country of a person, and for this we will add the drop down list here, and in the edit menu we will add the contents. So we'll add 5 countries. So for the first text, select country. Second text, we'll add it as India. Then we'll add it as England. Then as America. And the fourth country as Japan. And we have to give the initial value for the drop down list also. So it is by default it taken as a select country. So just press OK. So you can see. So we'll rearrange all these contents also by select it, these controls, then arrange the table for it. So like this, then select all the controls and set the width property. Search for the width property in the property window for the all the controls and set the width for all the controls as a 60 pixel. So it's too small, just change it. Select again by pressing the control button, select all the controls, and we will make a width of this all the controls as a 150 pixel. Okay, so now you can see. So just make it as the center. Okay, so this is how we can design. Now we need to add one more row to the table. Just go to table, right click, and go to the insert and insert row below. So this is the row here. So we need to add the button. So just a button to submit the information. Now the required field, we have to, whenever we are registration, entering the information for the registration of a person, this username is required, email is required, a password is required, and such kind of a validation you want to perform on these controls. So we need to use the validation control. So just to add the validation controls, go to the validation control in a toolbox, and here get the required field validator. Just drag it and drop it for all the fields. So we want to set this validator for all the fields. We need all the values from these particular text boxes. So if you want to change the error message, what you want to display if user will not enter the value for this particular text box, so search for the property the error message and change this. So select it and change it as username is required. So you can see. So just you can change the case for you as a username is required. Then change the email is must. You can put any kind of a error message as per your convenience. Then control save, go to the error message. Password is essential. Again, password is essential, and just here select country. So again we'll select all the validators by pressing the control button and just change the forecolor for these controls validators as red. So whenever it will whenever you will not enter the value, and so this is how we can apply the. Now the most important thing, we have to bind this control with this particular text box, this control with this text box. We need to change the id of this text box to username. Just search for the id of a first text box, search for the id property. So here it is, text box 1. So I will rename it as a text username, as a text user. Then here the property text mail. Then third text box as a text pass. Then fourth text box as again text repass, and drop down list. Then we will change the name of the drop down list as drop down list country. Okay, so we want to set this particular formats validations with this particular. So again, when you will enter the password, it must not display the entered password, it must display the characters, special characters. So for this, select that text box, go for the text mode property, a text mode property, and here check select for the password. Again for the change password also, search for the property a text mode and select a password. So whenever you will enter, so save this. So we'll see just by running our application through the Google Chrome whether these fields are available, text boxes and all these things. So we need to change required field validator cannot be linked, uh, cannot be blank. So we have added the validators and which we cannot take it as a blank. So we need to connect this validator, bind this validator with the particular uh, input area. So by first search for the control to valid property by selecting the validator, just a first validator, just if you want to select. So search for the property control to validate in a property window. Here you will get control to validate, and here select the text box which you want to control. So I will text user is bind with the first validator. Then for the second, control to valid, that is text mail. Then third, control to valid is our text pass. Then next, control to valid is your text repass, and this control to valid is your text drop down list country. Okay, now we need to change the initial value for this drop down list in a initial value. Search for the property initial value of a drop down list. Initial, I think so we have set it. Then as I will try to select. Okay, okay, it's value already a select country only. Okay, so just run our application now one more time. We'll try. So script required for the case unabrasive validation mode requires. So jQuery. So we'll search what is the problem. Just stop it here again. Okay, so for this we need to add mm, some code to web configuration file to remove this error and unabrasive validation mode. So we need to add some code to web configuration file. So just go to our project, just double click on web configuration file, and here add the code as app settings. Within the app settings, add the code as add key is equal to, okay, and within the queue validation settings, and for this pass the value this unabrasive validation mode. Copy it and paste this here, validation mode, and value is equal to none. None. Just save this, go to registration form, just run registration from the Google Chrome. So you can, maybe we will get now. This is our registration form, and these are the, so here I will click, so you can see username is required, email is must, password is essential, password is essential. Now I will enter the username and just I will press the button. So there is nothing here. Again I will write the email, just so you can see a password, so essential. So this is how we can set the validator. But to set the complete validator, like mm, the email must be in the proper format. So for this we can add the mm, new validator for the email also, and password and the re-entered password, that's confirm password, must be same, means we have to compare these values. So we can add extra validator for this also to check the email. So just go to the validation and add the regular expression validator in front of this here. Just select it, just control set. Okay, so here the email, enter the proper mail address. So just for this regular expression validator error message, I keep enter proper mail ID and change the fore color for this also as a red. Okay, then for the password, that is we have to compare the value from the password window and the confirm password, it must be the same. So for this, just add the compare validator in front of this, just error message, change it, it must be same as above password, and we need to change the property for this. So first of all we will change the fore color again as red. Okay, so we have to attach this also, this email id regular expression validator with this particular. So control to valid, add a text email, here it is, and another validation expression here. Next property validation expression, here select and search for the internet email, here internet email address. Okay, so this is the criteria that we are setting for this particular text box. Now for this, again control to validate. So control to validate is, so just select it, the control to validate, search for the property control to validate as a repass, and one more property control to compare. For which value you want to compare? Text pass. Okay, just save it, just double click on this button, just will response dot write, and within this write the message registration done successfully. So it will write the message to the in the response. So just run your application, your website, here it is, it's loading now. This is our registration form. So first of all I will click, okay, it's not showing the value for the country, red mark for a country, so we need to change it. So we will see, we'll enter the username as Balkrishna. I will enter the mail ID as a normal. Okay, so enter a proper mail ID. So we need to add the proper mail ID, means by adding the @ symbol and the domain name, it will compare, and the password 12345 I'm entering, and here I'm entering 5678. So it must be same as the above password. So 12345. Now it's okay. It must be same, I think so. We have entered 55. Okay, the registration done successfully. So this is how we can apply the validations to the values, text box values in a web page. So we need to search for this, why it's not working. This required field validator, validate to control initial value, here the initial value, select country. Okay, then again run your application. So we have given the initial value as a select country. So now this is a validation for all the things. So I will click clear, okay, then password, it must be same as, so email address er@.com. So registration done successfully. This is how we can apply the registration. Just will resize it, save it, just stop the execution, again enter your application. This is how we can see the best registration form using the validation, and this is all about how to apply the validation controls to the input values from the keyboard, or while on a entering the value in our web page accepting from the user.